Uber once made headlines when it claimed that its median income for NIC drivers was a whopping $90,766 a year, nearly $40,000 more than the average American. Fast forward 4 years later, and a new study is telling a very different story, claiming that half of Uber drivers in the U.S. make less than $10 an hour after vehicle expenses. The survey, conducted by Ridester, has revealed that the median hourly pay that Uber drivers receive including tip is $14.73 an hour. But that number doesn't include how much Uber drivers pay out of pocket for their own vehicle expenses, including insurance, gas, and card depreciation. Ridester estimated that Uber drivers spend around $5 an hour just on their vehicle costs, bringing their total hourly earnings to just $9.73. Those figures stand in stark contrast to the nearly six-figure salary that Uber once advertised. An Uber driver who works 44 hours a week, the average among Americans, would only make around $22,000 a year after vehicle expenses. That figure, which does not include taxes, is below the poverty threshold for a family of 4. It is also $2 less than the median hourly pay for taxi and ride-hailing workers, which the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported to be $11.96 in 2017. The figures are all the more shocking because, unlike its grandstanding in years past, Uber has recently been silent when it comes to driver income. That is likely in large part due to the fact that last year Uber settled a $20 million charge with the Federal Trade Commission, who claimed it misled drivers with false income estimates. And the numbers differ vastly from Uber's own study in 2015, which claimed that the average Uber driver made $19.35 an hour before expenses. Uber also estimated that a driver's hourly vehicle expenses only came up to $3 an hour for someone who uses a small sedan, and $6 for those who drive an SUV. Ridester estimated driver costs using figures from the IRS and Triple A, which both compute total driving costs per mile. But the news for Uber drivers can get better or worse depending on where you're picking up. It is followed closely behind by Seattle, $24.88, Long Island, $24.85, Pittsburgh, $24.09, and Westchester County in New York, $22.74. Hawaii, Washington, Minnesota, Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania are the top 5 best earning states. But the median earnings look far different for drivers in Akron, Ohio, which takes the top spot in the bottom 10 worst earning cities with just $4.94 an hour. Akron is followed by Raleigh, Durham, $6.62, Houston, $8.67, Springfield, Missouri, $8.78, and Tampa, St. Petersburg, Florida, $8.95. The bottom 5 worst earning states are North Carolina, Texas, Missouri, Florida, and Oklahoma. Ridester's new survey is based on 2,625 Uber driver respondents, including 719 who sent in screenshots of their earnings with the company. This makes it one of the largest and most comprehensive driver earnings studies undertaken to date, according to Ridester. The site specifically set out to minimize the uncertainty over self-reported income claims by drivers. Past studies have simply asked drivers how much they make without providing any proof of that income, according to the report. but it is a well-known phenomenon of surveys that people will exaggerate or underreport their earnings for a variety of reasons. In an effort to correct this, Ridester instead asked drivers to provide evidence of their income by sending screenshots of their earnings page from the Uber driver app. Each screenshot showed how many hours the drivers worked, how much they were tipped, how many trips they made, and how much they were paid after Uber's cut. Ridester also asked its respondents to report their own earnings and found that the average earnings came in 37% higher than their screenshots showed. This meant that out of 928 drivers who sent in their screenshots, only 719 correctly matched their self-reported earnings. Share this article. Share other findings from the study found that Uber drivers gave the company 9 out of 5 stars on earnings satisfaction and corporate leadership. Ridester also found that 58% of its respondents were over 50 years old and 55% had a college education. 10% had postgraduate degrees. Nearly 70% of the respondents were Caucasian, 11% were Latino, and 9% were African American. 88% of respondents were American citizens, and just 12% were not born in the U.S.